Gamers, we've got a problem. And no, I'm actually not going to be talking about the game this time. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about Echoes of Aincrad. Now, if you're like me and you're playing a game, you probably have gone through YouTube and scrolled through the games and been like, hey, I wonder what other people think about this game, and I'm curious as to hear the community's thoughts, things that they like, things that they don't like, etc., etc. And this is where my big problem comes in. Yes, we'll be talking about the game, but the first thing I want to talk about is the fact that majority of the videos on YouTube of people reviewing Echoes of Aincrad aren't actually critiquing the game. They're critiquing the players for liking the game or for having things that they're enjoying about the game. Huh? Like, I understand if you play a game and you decide that you don't like it. I'm not going to be here to be the one to tell you what you should or shouldn't enjoy. But don't be the one to go through and literally tell people what they should or shouldn't enjoy. Personally, I've been enjoying Echoes of Aincrad. I don't think the game is perfect, but I don't think it's anybody else's place to determine who can enjoy the game or who can't enjoy the game. If somebody wants to play the game and say, hey, this is what I've been looking for in a sorted online video game, let them be happy with it. That's all I'm saying. We don't need to sit here and try and push gamers' standards. Yes, do we want to hold developers to a standard where they try to give us these really good games and they try to build us better and better games each time? Absolutely. But that doesn't mean we need to diminish somebody else's enjoyment. Just because somebody looks at Echoes of Aincrad and plays it and they think, wow, I'm having a ton of fun with this game. Great. That doesn't mean it's a problem. Don't let it be a problem. Don't make fun of people or insult them because of their enjoyment of the game. Anyways, that's my PSA over with. Let's actually talk about the video game. Echoes of Aincrad. It is an action RPG that takes place during the Sword Art Online story, specifically the events of the first season and the first arc where they're actually trapped within the death game for those who are familiar with the anime. For those who aren't familiar with the anime, I'm not going to dive into spoilers or anything. You can play the game if you want to without getting some major spoilers for the anime, at least where I'm at so far in the game. I haven't gotten around to finishing it yet, but I've played enough of the game to be able to give my overall thoughts on the game and things that I do overall really enjoy about the game, and even some critiques that I do have about the game. Now, I'm going to talk about a few things here in regards to the game, and this is probably going to be a little bit more of a lengthier review, so bear with me here on this one, but I promise I do actually have a lot of really good things to say about this game. The summary that I have when I talk about Echoes of Aincrad and my thoughts about this game is the game is super fun, but it has a lot of really small issues. Now, we're going to get into those small issues here in just a moment. I do want to spend the majority of this video talking about the things that I really enjoyed about this game. I do honestly believe that we need to focus more on the positive aspects of games that we play rather than just having this mindset of hate watching or hate playing video games in any regard. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and let's get started. The first thing we're going to talk about here is the story. Now, for the most part, the story is going to seem pretty simple. If you're a fan of the anime, you're pretty much just going to get the death game scenario from a different point of view, at least for the first good chunk of gameplay. And at first I was like, okay, this is fine, this is not really anything that necessarily sticks with me. But then there was a moment, and I'm not going to give spoilers because I do want people to be able to enjoy this for themselves and be able to watch this review without getting into spoilers. And there's this moment that really just kind of was like, oh gosh, golly, I'm crying now. And I don't know if it was the characters that were introduced or what it was, because they did do a really good job at introducing some really awesome characters, and we'll talk about them in just a moment. But the story just had this really awesome kind of freaky moment that just really kind of grabbed my attention and got me really hooked. And since I haven't finished the game, I don't know exactly where it's going to line up, But I'm excited to see how the story is going to progress from that point forward. And overall, I'm very excited for this. It's a really cool take on Sword Art Online where it doesn't just focus purely on clearing the game. Because for a lot of the players, there was more to Aincrad than just focus purely on clearing the game. Some people had just accepted that their life was now purely just Aincrad, and they just accepted that and just lived a new life in Aincrad. They just decided that they were going to become fishermen or whatever it was, whatever form it was going to take, they just did in Aincrad. And I think that this kind of gives a really cool side story that doesn't just purely focus on clearing the game. It's a nice, unique story that's different, but still keeps that overall same tension and feeling that Sword Art Online does provide. So overall, I honestly do really enjoy the story. The next thing we're going to talk about is the characters, and this is where I'm going to give my first little critique, but we'll get to that in just a moment. The main focus of the characters is not on the protagonist, and I think that that's both a good thing and a bad thing. The game does a really good job at introducing you to multiple different characters, from Iori, a idol who wishes to escape her life through the world of MMORPGs and finds herself stuck in SAO, Wiseman, a IRL friend of our protagonist who is now here and now stuck in this death game. Then there's Argo, the information broker, who hasn't really had too much of an impact on the main story, but they are there. And so overall, each of these characters that the game has introduced, again, there's more characters, but I'm not going to get into just all of them because listing every single character will be here for a while. But every single character that has been introduced is unique and different in some capacity. Whether it is their gameplay aspects or their storylines or their personalities, they all are very fun and different characters. And there's not just the same character fleshed out, and they don't try and just rehash some of the same characters that you see in the anime and push them onto your party. And that is something that is a huge plus for Echoes of Aincrad, because I really wanted Echoes of Aincrad to fully separate itself from the overarching story of Sword Art Online, and I think that they did a great job at doing that through their supporting cast. Now, in that regard, I have a major critique with the protagonist. Why on earth are we doing another silent protagonist? I figured since we're in 2026, we have developed much better areas to incorporate characters and build custom protagonists, that the silent protagonist would just be gone. Now, I'm not necessarily opposed to the silent protagonist trope, but the thing about it is, even if you're going to have a silent protagonist, they still need to have some impact to the story whatsoever. And unfortunately, when it comes to Echoes of Aincrad, you can spend a ton of time in the character creator making this really awesome custom character, only for them to have literally no importance whatsoever to the story. They could not be in the game whatsoever, and the story does not change at all. The most that your character has in terms of communication and talking is just the voice lines that you give them to use for their battle dialogue. They don't have any dialogue in cutscenes. The most that they will give is a nod in approval, a shaking of their head in disapproval, the occasional confused look, or a smile when the situation fits and a party member needs encouragement. These are moments that really just kind of make certain emotional areas feel very awkward instead. There's a moment that I remember that I didn't record where you're sitting in a tavern with Iori and she's feeling very upset, she's feeling very sad, and so she's just feeling very hopeless about the whole situation. And that was a moment where the protagonist and Iori could have sat down and had a really good conversation and built just a really deep connection, but instead, you just smile and move on. And it is just such a weird moment. Rather than hitting emotionally like I know the game is capable of, it just felt very flat. And that really just comes to the design of the protagonist, and that is genuinely something that I really would have liked to have seen more from, is a more developed protagonist. And if they are going to continue to develop more in Echoes of Aincrad, whether they release more games, continuing to build more through the series, and go through higher floors of Aincrad, whatever that's going to look like, if it's DLC or whatever, I really want to see them build the protagonist more, because that is honestly my biggest critique about the entire game. All of my gameplay things are things that I genuinely can just kind of get over and be like, yeah, this is annoying, but I'm over it. But the silent protagonist thing and the way that that has built up was just very fall flat. So honestly, that's really my only major critique about the game. I'm gonna be done going on that rant because I don't want to spend the entire video talking about the things that I don't like about the game. Other than that, though, the rest of the cast of characters are really good. The voice acting performances are very well done. They all do an incredible job, and I genuinely love the supporting cast that is around the protagonist. I just wish there was more from the protagonist. Moving on into the gameplay is honestly so fun. The way that a lot of people will describe Echoes of Aincrad, and I think I can even attest to this, even though I'm not the most experienced with Souls-like games, is that the gameplay is very similar to a Souls game. You have a stamina meter that drains whenever you attack, block, or dodge, and you have a SP meter that drains every time you use a sword skill, and then you can use items or coordinate party attacks based around how you interact with your party members while you're in the midst of combat. Overall, I thought the combat was a ton of fun. I felt like the bosses and the enemies did require a lot of analyzing, and there were patterns that you could pick up on each of them, especially if you're playing on those higher difficulties. Each time I'm playing, I keep telling myself I need to raise the difficulty because my one critique about the gameplay and the combat in the game is that it is a little too easy. You can kind of shred through the bosses really quickly, utilizing the ultimate combo move that you have with any of your party members, but mostly Iori, but I'll get into the party members here in just a moment, as well as just using all of your sword skills. Once you've gone through all of your sword skills, most bosses are pretty much dead by that point, and that's kind of a little unfortunate because it doesn't really give you that feeling that you're playing in a difficult game where if you die in the game, it's over. And maybe that'll be different when I try out Death Game. That'll be something I plan on doing. I don't know if I'll make a video on it or not, or if I'll just do that for fun. I don't know. We'll see. Don't bank on me making a video on Death Game. I'm just gonna put that out there. Either way, the combat is really fun, and I love it. One thing I also do really enjoy in terms of the combat aspects are the party members. They are the best party members I have ever had in an action RPG. I can set them to fight on their own, and I can trust that they are going to go, they're going to use their skills, they're going to defeat enemies, they're going to be smart, and I don't have to pick them up all the time. The only time I've ever had to go out of my way to rescue a party member was if we were in a story fight that was an endless amount of mobs, and any natural person would be worn down. It was just kind of a natural progression for the fight, and that was totally normal, and it made for a really cool moment within that gameplay. My only critique about the party members is, good golly, Miss Molly, are you a big old goofer if you take anybody other than Iori? They give Iori an ability to heal as her supporting active ability that you can use. She creates this healing circle, and it is a free heal that you get, which means you don't have to burn any items that you use, which you have in very limited supply. And so being able to have those free heals is so useful. And so if you take anybody other than Iori, you are pretty much just saying, I don't want free heals, and I'm actively wanting to make the game more difficult for myself. Now, I did spend a little bit of time with Wiseman, and he was pretty fun to use. I couldn't get the most control out of his ultimate ability, which is where he smacks his shield, stun enemies and do a decent amount of damage. But at that point, I just wanted to try him out, and then I went, well, I get a free heal from Iori, and I know that when I use her ultimate ability, then we're just going to be deleting everything in the area, so I might as well just keep using Iori. And that was something that, again, I think Iori really does need to be nerfed a little bit, because she just became way too strong, and it made zero sense to use any other party member other than Iori in my playthrough, and I have continued to only use Iori, and will probably only use Iori going forward in my own playthrough, because she is just that good of a party member, and the rest just fall flat. And I think that's really unfortunate, because I really would like to see where these other party members would be a lot more useful and would make it where you would feel a little bit more rewarded using the different party members. Because again, they're all really cool and unique characters, each with their own unique abilities, and I'm sure there's ways that you can strategize with them, but why would I sacrifice free healing? That's my mentality with that one. Now, a lot of people will talk about this part of the game as one of the things that they didn't enjoy about the game, but honestly, it wasn't something that necessarily bothered me so much, which is, when you accept a quest, you can only work on one quest at a time, and you have to teleport from the town to a questing area that is specifically catered to that quest. And a lot of people looked at that as a limitation of the game. They didn't like how unopen Aincrad was. They felt it was really closed off, and that didn't honestly bug me so much. I really honestly kind of got used to that feeling. I just kind of took a side quest or a quest that I was looking at as a level, and each quest did take a substantial amount of time to do, so it wasn't like I was just going through, blitzing through quests quickly. If I were playing something more like an MMO where you could do 30 quests in an hour or something like that, even more than that, then maybe it would feel a little weird to be blitzing back and forth. But since I was taking a lot of time to explore, look for chests, look for the lore objects around Aincrad, it really gave me that feeling where I didn't get overwhelmed with the size of the map. Because there were some quests where I would jump in, I would have a lot of areas to explore, and I went, holy cow, I am going to be here for a long time. And it was nice to be able to have those questing areas as a way to help keep me focused on my goal, because if I was going to be just having the whole area open, I would never get anything done. I would get distracted all the time. I'd be wandering so far away from my quest, and I would never get anything done. It would be terrible. And another thing that I do honestly really appreciate that they did was the fact that you had to teleport back to town to refill items, change equipment, and things like that. Again, a lot of people look at that as a critique thing, but that's something, again, that I honestly really, really enjoyed, because it really made me think about what items I wanted to bring out when I was going out on a quest. And if you're a real adventurer, and Sword Art Online is trying to make it be where you are as close to actually being an adventurer as much as possible in the world of Aincrad, you're not going to have 99 potions sitting in your pocket. You're not going to have 100 teleport crystals sitting with you. You're going to have to leave some things behind. And that really forces you to plan out what's important for me to take, what's not important for me to take, where am I going to be going. And there are just kind of some things that you're just like, okay, this might be really useful, this might not be really useful. Let me go ahead and continue to take these items with me. Let me not take these specific items. And I found myself finding a nice little balance of everything, so that way I could make sure that I could get every single chest out there, as well as be able to explore every single area, and then have enough recovery items, so that way if I fell under some really bad status effects or needed a quick heal that wasn't my limited 3 healing crystals that I had outside of a rest area, that I had those available to me as well. I always wanted to make sure that I was prepared for basically any situation that I put myself in, and that made me feel really satisfied knowing that I never needed to suspend a quest feeling like I didn't have the right item, because I spent time prepping when I needed to. And so it really adds an extra layer to the adventuring aspect of Echoes of Aincrad, and I honestly really like it. I think it adds a lot of good things to the game, and I do really enjoy that part of it. Now, going on to my one critique. Good golly, is the boundary thing annoying. Yeah, I fell victim to it too. Don't worry, I went out of bounds a lot. I fell victim to gravity and the lack of swimming. That was a problem. I'm not gonna beat that dead horse. I think every single video is gonna talk about it. We all know how much of a problem it is. It's annoying. Eventually I got over it, and I just looked at my mini-map more and just kind of learned how to not fall, and it became less of a problem. I just had to remember that I don't like gravity, and then I was able to kind of move on. Some games don't even give you a jump mechanic, and so it was kind of, just something you learn to deal with and move on, I guess. I don't know. Overall, though, Echoes of Aincrad has been a ton of fun. I have invested about 30 hours into the game already, and I'm planning on continuing to invest more and more hours into the game, and I know there's a lot of things I've left behind because I've just been really wanting to progress in the story and not spend a ton of time repeating quests and going back and looking for every single chest and things like that. Not because I don't think it's fun, but because I just really want to continue to push forward. I'm excited to see what's going to happen, and I really hope that the story continues on its high notes that it has had and really continues to build off of that tension with these characters that they've created and continue to really make something awesome here, because I do think that Echoes of Aincrad has a really strong potential of being a good series of games or a one single game that we build off of through additional DLCs. However Bandai decides to do it, I don't know. I'm not Bandai, I'm not going to speak for them, but that's pretty much all of that. I just want to give a lot of my thoughts on the game, and I think I've done that. Don't listen to the reviews, guys. I really do recommend that you give the game a try. If you haven't bought the game, go play the demo. The demo gets you through a good chunk of the story. You can play through about like 4 to 6 hours if you just focus on the story, but you can get a solid like 8 to 10 hours of gameplay out of it if you are wanting to like 100% all of the quests in the demo. So definitely would recommend checking out the demo if you want to give Echoes of Aincrad a shot before you buy it. I think that's going to be the best way to determine if the game is for you. Don't take just my word for it, experience it for yourself. I always will tell people, never listen to a review. You can watch it and you can get an idea, but always try something for yourself and form your own opinion based around your own experiences. Don't form an opinion based on what someone else is telling you what to think. Anyways, that's going to be it for this video. As always, I do want to give a huge shout out to all of my Ko-Fi supporters. You guys are the ones that really help to make this channel possible. If you would like to financially support the channel, you can do so down in the description below. The Ko-Fi is the best way to be able to support the channel. And with that, make sure you guys do like the video if you would like to see more game reviews like this. I do want to kind of just dive into RPGs and JRPGs in general. I have a lot of games I'm wanting to play and just get into for the first time and really experience and give my thoughts on them. They're going to primarily be just YouTube videos and not necessarily streaming content, because I want to just be able to play them at my own pace, but I want to have them there for you so that way you guys can kind of know my thoughts as I play things off stream and just kind of enjoy playing some games and give my thoughts on them. But with that, you are loved, you are valued, you are fearfully and wonderfully made, and we will see you right back here in the next one. Have a wonderful rest of your day, everybody.